Even the homework and more application we're doing this week goes into the investigation of the world, really looking at news and where we get our news sources and what our news is telling us, and having them become the critical reader, and not just me telling them something or not just hearing something on the news, but kind of really analyzing what they're seeing and what they're hearing. This one is great for social studies. They already have to do a current event for social studies, so it's kind of killing two birds with one stone, which is nice for them sometimes, and I think they do a better job when it's interdisciplinary. But what they have to do is they are picking a news article, and I wanted it to be something that they don't know a lot about, so they don't really have an opinion yet, so they're not biased towards one way or the other. And I want them to decide whether, the word choice, look at the word choice. So they have to highlight words in the article and decide whether it's a positive connotation or a negative connotation. So kind of getting them to read between the lines and not just taking what a journalist says, and seeing. And then eventually on Wednesday we'll go to the computer lab, and I'm going to have them look at different articles about the same story and really see how perspective and word choice kind of changes an entire article and changes an entire story. I really try to read the news daily, because even today I was talking about some farmers in Cambodia. I mean, you never know, but there's always a chance to insert something. And a lot of times I'll start the class with a news article, or I'll start the class with some kind of news, just so that they have, something different they may not hear about. And a lot of times it will lead to a really good discussion. And that's just a little snippet of something that's easy to do the beginning of the day. It gets them engaged. And like the other day I was showing them about a girl who's 13 years old, and she hunts with this eagle. And I mean, they're so engaged in it, and they're learning about a new place, a new culture, and they really don't even realize. So that's just personal, I guess, just reading a lot of news, and because there's always ways to integrate it. I don't come in thinking, oh, I'm going to use this article today. Sometimes I do purposely. I'm going to say this is something I really want to share with my class, but sometimes we'll just be talking about something, and then it makes me think of an article I've read. And then a lot of times they'll go home and research it as well, because they want to know more about it. Nice. New York Times, CNN, and I always really try, and on Wednesday we'll do this, we'll look at the same story from different news outlets, because again, the way their word choice can really change, be like, is that even about the same thing? So it's important, I think, for them to start seeing that, because, sixth graders a lot of times will take things the way they are, and if it's found on the internet, it's true. So really getting them out of that mindset and getting them into more critically thinking. And I loved what one of my students said today when he was talking about how sometimes a journalist will be more negative about a place, but a lot of times it's just misconception. They don't really know about that place. And I think that's really insightful for sixth graders even to pick up on. A lot of times, a journalist can write about Cape Verde, for example, and I'll read it and think, wow, that's not really Cape Verde at all. And because maybe they were there for a week and not for, 2 years or 3 years, and so they don't really understand the culture. Just think about, this is what I want you to start thinking about as well. When you read news articles about different places, do you see how one journalist, one writer could look at this and talk about what Gavin was saying, talk about how beautiful this culture is, and the way that, they're really productive, the way that they carry heavy things, they're not hurting their backs. And then we could have another writer talk about, how it's unclean, it's messy, the dirt's everywhere. Do you see how you can spin things just by your language and your words? And really, words are powerful. I know, the vocabulary is kind of funny, makes us laugh, but it's true. Choose your words wisely, because they really are powerful. It affects the way we look at this picture.
How they put it into their point of view, if they describe it as more happy, then that shows you that they have either a little bit of experience, they've either been there, or they just know more about it.
Know about the culture.
And if it's someone who's saying how bad it is, they're either trying to feel sorry for them, or trying to just say, because to me that says that they don't have very much experience of what they go through.
That's
so
really
that can
insightful.
sort of tell what each reporter is like.
Yeah, Gavin, that's really, really insightful. So, for example, if you go to a place just for a week, it's totally different from what you're familiar with. You may not understand why they're doing things the way they are, see maybe more negative about it because you don't really know the background. You don't know why they do things that way. You come in and say, well, they could be doing that, in a more efficient way, in a more productive way. But if you really know the culture, then you're going to really start appreciating and seeing why they do things a certain way.